Hello, everybody. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Peter Boyd, Director of Trim Carpenters, a specialist in timber finishes devoted to heritage conservation and restoration. Based in Sydney and working across New South Wales, Peter brings a thoughtful and passionate approach to the heritage timber industry, combining curiosity, dedication, and true craftsmanship. His team at Trim Carpenters focuses on fine timber work from intricate exterior details to precise interior fit-outs, all inspired by the enduring traditions of classic carpentry and joinery. So, Peter, this is a real pleasure because it's the first time we've been in Australia to do this podcast. So, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute honor to be on the podcast.
Wonderful. So, let's start. Got a few questions here, but let me start with your background and judging from your accent, how you ended up in Australia. But let's
Yes,
start at the beginning.
yes. Yeah, apologies for your first interview in Australia, not being with an Australian.
No,
So
this is good.
I arrived in Australia 15 years ago, 2010, just on a working holiday visa, just for a holiday. So it's been a incredibly long holiday. I now have a wife and two children here. Um,
Oh,
but
wonderful.
but I came over here after studying engineering in Edinburgh. I did that and decided to come for a break before entering the workforce back home, and arrived in Australia. Got a job as a bricklayer's labourer. Just loved being out in the sun and exercising, and that's how I got my start in construction, really. So yeah, that was it, and yeah, just started going from there, and decided I didn't want to go home.
Where was home? Where is home?
Home is um home is in County Antrim, so northeast of Ireland, in a little village called Ballycarry.
What a difference going from there to Australia. And there must have been parts of it that you must have missed. You must have been homesick a few times.
Yeah, I do miss home. I do miss home. I obviously miss my family a lot. I get to chat to them all the time, and it's funny now that I live here. I probably see them more than I did live when I lived in Edinburgh. They're always coming over for holidays, which is nice.
Oh, I
Um,
see. It's always the way, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, but no, I do miss home. It's not really me anymore, but I do miss a sort of cozy pub culture,
Yes.
that it doesn't really have that out here. And I miss the cold every now and then, like I'm moving here probably wasn't the best idea for my skin tone. Uh,
Yeah, you and me the
I
same.
mean,
That would be the
I
same
get
as me.
I get burnt indoors at nighttime, but
Yeah.
no, I do, but I love it here. I absolutely love it here, and this is home for me now. As much as it would pain my mum to hear that, I just absolutely love it here.
I remember when I was 20, I went traveling to New Zealand for 6 months. And exactly what you said, I just couldn't believe the difference in the culture, and also just that you couldn't visit a pub, a traditional sort of pub. I just couldn't get my head around that. You
Yeah,
you literally just went to bars. There weren't the pub, and that's one thing that I really really missed and noticed. Big
yeah.
difference.
Isn't it a funny thing? I wouldn't call myself a big drinker at all, but it was
No.
the atmosphere, the coziness of it all.
Yes.
Whereas they're all big open plan here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that was 2010, did you say?
2010, yeah.
2010. So then, and you were working on the with the construction company, and then what happened from there?
So I was a bricklayer's labourer, um, and I was really enjoying that. Getting paid cash in hand, spending it all on the weekend, rinse repeat. It was just really enjoyable, just the outdoor lifestyle and everything that Australia provided. I arrived just before summertime happened as well, so it was just a huge change for me. Obviously coming straight from studying school, then studying, had a bar job, and then into construction. I just thought I love working with my hands, love being outdoors. Um, I love being that like nice physically exhausted at the end of the day after some hard work. And at the time, I started courting my then wife, whose dad happened to be or is a builder. And
Ah,
yeah, so on rain days, whenever it was raining, he offered me to come onto his building sites as a labourer and clean up the site, do odd jobs, so that I can keep the money coming in. Um, and one of the builders that worked for him, he had a few jobs on, so he had like sub tiers of builders running different sites. So one of the builders that worked for him just asked me, he's like, "I like having you around. Do you want a carpentry apprenticeship? Do you want to start that?" And
Really?
I really enjoy. So I was already enjoyed the bricklaying, being outdoors, but when I started laboring, I saw all aspects of building, and I just thought that opportunity came up, and I thought absolutely I would love a carpentry apprenticeship. I saw the carpenters on site, and some of the carpenters on site I really admired, just with their skill level and what they could produce at the end of the day. I thought that's pretty cool. So that was it really.
And how old were you at this time?
21, I think. 22, 22.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
37 now. Yep.
Um, and then was there a period of time when you had been in Australia and you thought, oh, hold on a minute, I need to start looking at getting a visa and maybe making this a bit more permanent?
Yeah. So that was a big thing. Obviously, I couldn't start an apprenticeship. As a foreigner, you can't start an apprenticeship. You have to be a permanent resident to start an apprenticeship. But luckily, my now wife, we were quite serious at the time, or we started to get quite serious. So we decided to go de facto. And as soon as your de facto visa goes through, which happens pretty instantly, you can apply for an apprenticeship. So I was able to go down that path, which was really,
Right.
really handy. Yeah.
And was
So
it quite easy? Was that process quite easy?
it cost a bit of money, I'll be honest, a lot less
Oh,
than what it
does
does
it?
now. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And it depends whether you want to involve lawyers or not to help make the process easier. But I can tell you, I think we spent probably 8,000 all up back then. But I'm sure people listening in Australia right now that heard that figure would probably scoff at that because it's probably double that now.
is it?
Um, yeah, it's expensive. It's really, really expensive. So that's what I had to do. I mean, I had no previous experience in the trade, so I had to start somewhere. And
So if you'd had
yeah,
experience, that would have been easier, would it?
yes, you can get qualified. You can get skilled visas now. That's where I mean, a lot of people are coming over from Ireland. Like it's funny, a lot of the carpentry companies in Sydney, quite a few I know are run from people from the UK and Ireland. All their directors.
Ah.
Yeah. So and all the employers they work, the big jobs that we're on at the minute, it's hard to hear an Australian accent sometimes.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so you started really enjoying your carpentry apprenticeship. And what was that
yeah,
working on? Was that new builds? That was just, you know,
yeah. It was new
general
builds.
carpentry.
I would say it was more renovations, so sort of medium to high end residential. Um,
Right.
and so I started off with one builder. He was working a bit further out west, and we were doing frames and everything like that. So I got to learn how to do stick framing, sort of bang it together, throw it up as quick as you can. So it was more of a volume builder, I would say. Um, that sort of pace anyway.
Yeah.
But we did everything from foundations, framework, cladding, uh, windows, doors, fit out, right the way through. We even did some of the concreting and that sort of thing. So that was a really good experience for me to learn the whole entire building process and how it was all done. Um,
Yeah.
and then after those 2 years, I went on. It was just too far away from me. Like the travel time across Sydney is pretty crazy. So from the East Coast, where I live on the beach, to travel out west to get home in the afternoon, sometimes like over an hour and a half sometimes. So
I see.
I wanted something closer to home, so was offered to finish my apprenticeship with another company that was closer to home. So I jumped at that, and they did higher end residential, which was a really good experience.
What was it competitive? You know, is there a lot of people looking for that type of work?
As in, are there
And
like a lot of carpenters looking for high end
yeah,
residential?
exactly. So when you went for that job, was that competitive? Was it relatively easy to get that other job closer to home?
Re Relatively easy. Yeah, relatively easy. It was actually a friend of mine said, look, the builders they shared a complex in an industrial area, um, with this builder, and they would go to the coffee cart together, and they would see each other at a coffee shop during the day. And he just said, the company over the road is looking for an apprentice. they do local jobs. So that was it. I just jumped on board. So it was pretty straightforward.
And how are you treated? I'm interested because was it, does it differ from?
No, not at all. I mean, it's good. It's good banter on site. Like
Yeah.
the guys. It's funny actually. I bumped into my old boss only half an hour ago down at our kids' soccer there. But like still really friendly with them all. But they would all obviously make fun of my accent. So I would say I would start
Yeah.
my sentences with here a lot. I'd be like, here, pass me the shifter. Here, pass me the circular saw. And you would just hear ringing throughout the site them copying my accent, going here, 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 here. It would just ring out all day long. But it's all in good spirits. It was pretty funny. But no,
Yeah.
treated really well. It's good. Our humor is very similar to Australians, so it's good fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so you're really enjoying that. And how long did you stay with that company?
So I stayed. I think it was probably 4 years. So another 2 years. I then finished my apprenticeship. So it was 4 years all up for a carpentry apprenticeship when you become qualified. I think I stayed another year or two. And I was running sort of smaller end jobs for them. Um, I think I did a couple. Um, and then the opportunity came just to go out on my own. I always because I felt that I started my apprenticeship a wee bit later than all the other 18-year-olds, obviously starting at 22. I
Yeah.
I wanted as much experience as I could possibly get. So I went out on my own then and started subcontracting and just cold calling and trying to get as much experience as I could working for other companies at that point,
So
I'd say.
you were sort of subcontracting at 22.
Sorry, no. So by the time I finished my apprenticeship, 4 years from 22, I finished
Oh,
at
sorry.
26.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
26. Yeah,
26. Yeah. 26 to
right.
27. I started
Yeah,
subcontract, just went out on my own.
and you're just working for companies and on a day rate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up going to do a bit more work for my father-in-law, on and off in between. He would always sort of fill up any time. If I had any downtime, he would fill up the time. Um, so yeah, between him and probably three or four other builders, I was always kept pretty busy.
Right. I mean, I'm interested in the fact I wonder what the difference is when you were doing that work and you were working for the money you were getting for your day's work and the lifestyle. What do you think the comparison would be if you'd stayed in Ireland? How would it be?
Oh,
Would it be harder, do you think? Would it be, the cost of living?
it's
Have you thought about that?
it's something else and something I've never really thought about. I think it would be comparable. Out of your trade, I mean, out of all my friends, and they all got jobs in finance or whatever office jobs I got, they were definitely more flush than I was, put it that way. But I think that would be similar to back in the UK. Definitely when I went out on my own and I had consistent work is when I started making more money. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure to be honest, Vincent. It's something I
Yeah.
haven't really thought of, but I would say it would be similar as a short answer.
Yeah. Okay. So with all the cost of living and the price of your rent and that type of thing, you think it would be a pretty similar outcome?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. I don't have any friends in the trade back home, so I have nothing to compare
No,
it to, unfortunately.
yeah, it's just interesting how different countries operate and how they work. And I've got a few friends that have emigrated to Australia, and
Yeah,
I think they find it a little bit easier than they would here.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
um,
I think I think
they seem to value the trades more. That seems to be
yes.
the impression I get. They seem to value the skilled trades, people that working with their hands more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and now, especially these days, it's hard to come across really good carpenters, and they the rates are going up, which is great to see, to be honest. And people are getting paid what they're worth. Um, but it's hard to get that at the top end, if you know what I mean,
Yeah,
from the from the top person, whether that's the client. But no, if you're good at what you do, you're paid accordingly here. So
right.
these days, it is definitely worthwhile. You can have a very
So it's
comfortable living.
interesting. It's not. Hold on. Excuse me.
Bless you.
That sneeze was coming on for a while. Excuse me. Um, so yeah. So sorry, I lost my train of thought. Then, what were we saying? What were we
Com
talking about?
comparable living and expenses, like how wage goes to
Oh yes,
cost of
yeah, yeah,
living.
yeah. So I was also thinking that it's not just here; it's in Australia as well, where it's getting harder and harder to get good people and skilled people. It's
Yeah,
just equally as hard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you find that in your business as well?
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
must. How many
yeah.
how many people do you employ, if you don't mind me asking?
Um, I um, I have only two, and then I use subcontractors.
Yeah, okay. Is that just to run
Yeah,
a bit lean, a bit leaner?
it is, but also with me, I did used to do a lot more contracting, and I had a bigger team. Then the 2008 crash came, and it was just very, very difficult to pull a team together and just work in January. Obviously, sorry, the COVID, not 2008, COVID came. And then after COVID, I thought, okay, do I want to go back to the contracting? Do I want to have do I want to build on my team? And I was doing a bit more consultancy work just purely because I could then work by myself. And that was
Yeah,
my plan to continue doing the consultancy and just build on that and literally just be a consultant without any contracting at all. But funny enough, that's changed quite drastically in the last year because there have been so many fantastic projects that have been offered. I just couldn't turn it down. So now I'm in the process of building a team again. So we're currently at two, but I'm looking to scale that.
yeah. It,
Um,
it's do you find it quite challenging? Because obviously you've got to find the right people to fit into those
yeah,
roles, especially sounds
incre
like they'll be important jobs.
incredibly challenging because what is difficult is that it's no good having so people have to tick so many boxes, and you'll understand this as well. They have to tick so many boxes. It's no good to me to have a fantastic restorer with 25 years experience if they aren't able to speak to a client when they're asked a question, or they're turning up late 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes every single day. That it's useless to me. They could be the best person ever, and if they've got just one of those things, it's hopeless to a company.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
so you're better off having somebody who is maybe at 60% of quality, that you can train, but they're willing to turn up on time, and they can speak to a client if a client approaches them, and they're not going to say things out of turn. It's incredibly difficult, and also I'm for my fellow restorers out there won't mind me saying, but we're all some of furniture restorer type of conservation joinery restorer background, and we can be a bit precious, and sometimes don't like taking constructive criticism on board. It
yeah.
can throw Teddy out the pram. So therefore, that can be challenging as well. It's very, very, very hard, very hard.
The hardest thing in business, I think, well, for me so far, I mean, I don't really like coding and that sort of stuff, but the hardest thing is finding the right staff for exactly the reasons you say. You can have someone who is, I'll try not to talk about the employees I have, but I can talk about a previous one, an incredibly hard worker, was quite good client facing as well, but see for camaraderie and lifting the team and like just being a good person to your teammates on site, terrible. Really brought the mood down with everyone.
Yeah,
Was always arguments, fights. Everyone was tense coming to work, and I was like, oh, he's brilliant, very very gifted carpenter, but can't have that sort of atmosphere here. Like people come
it
to enjoy what they do.
yeah, it's so difficult. It's so and the more I'm very experienced now with been employing people for 25 years or something. So um, I can now I what I'm if I literally if there's a red flag that's flown, I'm instantly right. You're going. That's it. You're out. because you get this gut feeling that okay, this is not going to work. In the past, I would have thought, they're really, really good at this, and maybe they could probably possibly change their ways. Um, Now it's literally, yeah, you're not suited. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Oh, I need that. I'm still too nice. And the red flags come up, and I'll be like, oh, just forget about that one. Oh, there's another one. No, forget about that one until it becomes a big problem, and then I have to deal with it. I
Yeah,
am
well,
getting better though. I'm getting better.
it is very difficult to run a business if you're too nice as well. I'm the
Yeah,
same. I'm just, I've always been too nice, and I've always wanted to treat people how I want to be treated. Um, and that's great because you have your integrity, and that's how you want to behave. But running a business, the commercial aspect of it, you sometimes have to be a bit more cutthroat than that. And you'll see a lot of the successful business owners, you know, they're not that nice to their staff, and they can be a bit of an arsehole, if I can, you see, and you think, oh my God, how can they have such a successful business? I can see, because they've used those individuals literally as a tool. Those are tools, and if that tool's not sharp, it's out. It's being replaced.
yeah.
Um,
It's
but
it's the way it's the way it has to be.
I know it is, but then it's difficult because I don't want to behave like that. I want to I want to build a team who like working with me, like me, and like the whole atmosphere and whole, the company. And I just, so it's very difficult, isn't it? It's incredibly
Yeah,
difficult.
you
Um,
really have to build a culture, don't you? And hope that everyone fits into that jigsaw really perfectly. But it's
yes,
almost an
yeah,
impossible task sometimes.
yeah. But it's great for me now. I've really got. I'm starting to build a fantastic team, and now we have this model. So therefore, if nobody fits that, they're going to be no, and then it's not going to work.
Yeah,
Do you see? So whereas before I didn't quite have that, the model, it just wasn't. There wasn't a foundation there. So didn't know exactly what that model was. So, and I was inexperienced. That's the other thing. It does take a few years to get the experience.
yeah. And when you
It's
say
just one of the
and when
things.
you and when you say model, is that when you say model, is that like a process you would go through in the hiring process, or is that like a
No, no, it's just the model that represents my model for the company, as in what I would like the individuals that I would like to be in the company, and um, just I suppose more of a foundation, a base now.
yeah,
That's probably better than using the word model. It's having that base, and I'm really, really happy with the base that I've got now. And
yeah,
I understand. Okay, that's exactly what I've been looking for. This is now what I've been looking for. So now we can build on top of that. Now we have that foundation to now start building on top. Whereas before it was I just didn't have it. So it's
yeah.
impossible to build up because I just didn't have that base that I really believed in. It's down to individuals. It's just completely down. It's just pot luck who you get.
And how long did it take you to realize that, like to realize that you needed that strong foundation, or what your foundation was, probably?
Well, it probably it's taken me, I don't know, maybe 20 years.
Yeah,
But
I
that's not saying
can see
I
so.
know other people that it's been a lot quicker than that. It's just for me, um, I didn't have any mentorship or anything like that, which so I literally just went out on my own, and it was just I was in the Wild West, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So
Yeah,
if I'd had a mentor and somebody really running the financial side of my business and that type of thing, I think I would have got there quicker, definitely. But it's just taken me learning by my mistakes. That's why it's taken me so long to get where I am. But then, along the way, I think, well, it's quite good that it's taken me that long because I've learned a huge amount, and now I'm
yeah.
very, very confident of what I'm looking for and what I have, and now going forward. So, it's just different for individuals, isn't it?
Yeah. It is an incredibly positive way to look at it, though. Like all the lessons you learned along the way. Like, would you be as
Yeah,
good as what you are now if you didn't have all those hardships in the last 20 years?
100% no. That's it. So you can look at those hardships as, as um, you can look at
Building
them and
blocks.
be, yeah. So that's a positive way of doing it, but you can also look at them as when you're not feeling so positive, you can look at them as negative and thinking, oh, I've made so many mistakes, and why did I employ that person? Why did they take that project on? And why I didn't make any money on that? And blah blah blah. And you can be really negative. But you then start to realize, hold on a minute, that was all meant to be. That's how you build, and that's you have to make those mistakes to build.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it at the time. You sort of keep you're probably like me. You're very hard on yourself. You're very
Very hard
hard
on
on
myself.
yourself. Yeah. So I am as well. I've been way too. I don't know. Have I been too hard or not? I'm not sure, but I've been really hard with myself. So therefore, you're constantly knocking yourself. And why haven't you doing this? And why have you doing? You're not good at this area, that area. But now I'm looking and thinking, okay, that's the reason. This is now why I had to go through that.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to happen. I am. I can happily look back at, like, it's only been a short career so far, but all the hard times I've gone through, and I honestly, as difficult as they were, and like, yeah, close to tears sometimes at some of them, like I wouldn't change any of them because they've been the best lessons.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and worth having, worth having
yeah.
indeed. Yeah,
Definitely. So let's talk about you were subcontracting and then you decided to actually set your own company up. And what inspired you
yeah.
to do that?
So I was, like I said, I was supervising sort of smaller residential projects, and I was looking after that. And I found that I would get a job, and I would look at the plans, and I would scan through them, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, this is that. And I would see a timber detail come through, whether it was like a nice cladding detail or like a curved roof or whatever it was, nice timber detail. And I thought, I'm so excited to do that. I'm one of the only carpenters on site. I'm going to go do that. And as you know, whenever you go to look after site and you're managing people, you would go to start working for 30 minutes and then someone would ask you a question, you would get pulled away. And I ended up never doing any of those details I was excited about doing. And then I just realized, I was like, what am I doing? I didn't enjoy looking after jobs. It feels like glorified babysitting to me. Um,
Yeah,
so I just thought, that's it. I'm just going to go back to just being a carpenter. I'm going to go work for a foreman who's going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to ask for the nicer finishes. I'm going to come on site and say, I want to do all the nicer finishes. Um, so that's actually sort of how Trim Carpenters was born. I went from Boyd Builds, got rid of that because I didn't want to be known as a builder anymore, and
yeah.
just went to Trim Carpenters from there. So that was 7 years ago now, 8 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
and
that was
and
it.
then you came to the point where you had to employ your or work with your first employee or subcontractor.
Yes, yes. So I hired my first apprentice, and to be honest, he sort of ruined it for me. He was great. He was great. He was great. He turned up, never sick, never whinged, got stuff done. He's learned, like, when you taught him something, he would retain it. Always worked hard. He was just good, and I just thought, I was like, I'm a brilliant teacher. I'm such a good teacher. Like, I was like, it's obviously me. And he was great. And then I had the next one, and the next one wasn't as good. Obviously, didn't work out. And then yeah, I just sort of very. I kept it pretty small for, I would say, 2 to 3 years, and I did try to take on another apprentice, and that wouldn't work out. I think I tried that twice, and then ended up hiring a tradesman, a subcontractor after that, and yeah, just kept it around that 4 and 5 mark for the next couple of years.
So you tried the apprenticeship side rather than thinking, okay, let me get an experienced subcontractor. Um, but you realize afterwards, then you thought it was more going to be more beneficial because you obviously there was a bit of a time wasting with your apprentices
Yeah,
rather.
yeah. So by the time I took on my first apprentice, that sort of 2 years had passed, and he was pretty much qualified. I thought, okay, it's time to take on another apprentice. But this is when I started learning all the lessons with teams. That apprentice that came up that was very good at everything. It was the apprentice I mentioned earlier. Um, and yeah, not such a good leader in terms of taking charge of other people. So anyone that came in
Right.
underneath him, it was quite a challenge. So if they didn't, there was no nurturing there. Sometimes the when you're younger, you just need a bit of nurturing, a bit of guidance. Um, and obviously, if I wasn't around, that wasn't there. So um, yeah, it didn't really work out too well sometimes.
Yeah. 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 And then how was it with your experienced subcontractor? How did that work?
That was good. That was good. So I ended up getting a bit more work, and then hired someone more experienced as well. And we sort of had a couple of jobs on the go at the same time. And that was that was good. That was good. I got them to manage one job while having another one, but um, I found that I was taking more time away from the tools to look after things and coordinate things, and I found myself going back to the thing that I didn't like so much with Boyd Builds when I was managing
Yeah.
sites and managing people. I loved being on the tools. I still do. I love working with my hands all day. If I can do that all day, that's me happy. And ideally, the business just runs in the background. Um, yeah, it was all a bit of juggling. It was all finding my feet. It was very new to me. So people chopped and changed quite a bit towards the start. Um, all on good terms, I will say. They sort of hung around for jobs, and then we would get quiet, and then get someone else on for a new job. But yeah, the taking on apprentices definitely slowed right the way down after being burned a couple of times earlier on, um, with trying to manage them, um,
Yeah.
and then my time being taken away from being on the tools. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And at this stage, were you earning money?
no, definitely
No.
not. I mean, that took a long, like, I wouldn't even say I was earning money, like maybe even the 5 years in. Like, I like to say I'm good at what I do carpentry wise, but when it comes to running a profitable business, it can be tough.
Yeah.
It can be tough.
Yeah.
You obviously want to pay people what you think they're worth, and you want them to be happy to turn up to work as well. Um, but you've also got to find that happy medium on what clients think they're worth as well. So I struggled with that a little bit, probably undercharging myself and undervaluing our skill set in the early days too much. It was only until, yeah, a few years ago that I really started being like, when I started coming up against other carpenters and teams, I was like, we've we're a passionate bunch. Like, I know that we can compete and do really well, and we bring a lot of value to whatever project we enter in on. That I started charging accordingly, and yeah, I haven't really looked back since.
So you were paying your guys too much. You weren't charging enough.
Yeah, I would say so. And then obviously you
Yeah.
have down times of work. I wasn't factoring that in. I did have a bit of mentorship, obviously, through my father-in-law. He's been great, and he always helps. But I probably didn't ask enough questions. But I never factored in silly things like rain days, and other bits when you're calculating overheads and trying to work out true hourly rates. I was just going on what I was paying them versus what they were charging out on, and the difference
Yeah.
being like, oh, that sounds about right, you know. Um, and then trying to go competitive with what other people were doing, but we weren't we weren't really doing the same thing. Like, once we started to really specialize in the heritage work, we weren't really doing the same thing that other people were doing. So it's not really the
Right.
same business model as other carpenters.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I want to clarify. Actually, you talk about timber finishes. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, so basically just any finished timber work without um yeah, that's it. So anything anything complicated, tricky to do with timber finishes, like I I will always want to throw my hat in the ring. Um, Trying to think of a recent job we did which wasn't heritage. Um, I've done some curved screens, and other um curved handrails, stuff like that. Anything that's sort of, yeah, a bit more complicated than your standard carpentry work
So that's what you mean by
or fit out
finishes.
work. Yeah.
You mean not applying a lacquer or a polish. You
Oh
mean
no, sorry, no.
finishing
Yeah,
like the fine work, the last bit of woodwork that's going to be
yeah.
presented, that type of
I
thing.
should, yeah, it should really be finished timber work, as in like any sort of final timber work that goes in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
every now and then I do apply the finishes, but it wouldn't be anything crazy like shellac. I'm
yeah.
no French
Okay,
polisher.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so and then how did you bridge into the heritage work? So Trim Carpentry wasn't doing any heritage work, and then how did you
No,
stumble across that?
no. Well, so I was working for my father-in-law, and he was on this amazing renovation. It was an 1890s arts and crafts house on the North Shore, and it was a stunning residence. And the architect that was involved, Robert Simpson, is incredibly gifted, and he's a heritage architect there and did a lot of old buildings as well as new. Um, but he, um, yeah, he was just an incredibly intelligent and gifted man. He was incredibly inspiring. I was doing all the fit out work at this place, and restoring any sort of timber work that was there. And Robert obviously oversaw that. But I'll give an example of how good he was. I was doing the roof, all the rafters. They were exposed hardwood rafters, and on the outside of these gable ends, there were these big barge boards, big Western red cedar barge boards, and they came down with like a swoop detail in the bottom. Um, and whenever Robert was due to come on site, he would ask me to mock up the rafters, the final rafters on the end of the gables, and I would draw them out on these MDF templates, and 1-to-1 scale. And he would come in with a crayon, and he would draw perfectly by hand these swoops of what the Western red cedar would look like. He'd just draw absolutely beautifully, and he would initial and date it. And I was like, okay, I was like, okay, Robert, I'll cut that template out and I'll stick it up so you can see what it looks like. And he shot me this look like I just spat in his dinner. I remember it clear as day. And he's like, no, you'll cut the barge boards once and just install them. And I was like, okay, sorry, Robert, no worries. And right enough, like I, I would cut it, install it, and I remember standing down in the garden and looking up at these two barge boards I just cut that were on this lovely elevation of the house, and they just looked absolutely spot on. And I was just blown away. I was like, how could he do that by drawing that by hand on
Yeah.
a bit of MDF and get the proportions absolutely perfect? So when he would come back to site, I would just pepper him with questions. I was just so intrigued. Um, and he was the man that really started the inspiration behind me getting into heritage work. Um, he he sort of taught me all about proportions, about how things look right, why things should be a certain height, certain width, certain depth. And he would always have a lot of time for me asking him these sort of questions, and I really appreciated it. Like another example, which still makes me laugh. I was doing wainscoting in this sort of, it was like a halfway room between the kitchen and the formal dining room, at the bottom of the stairs. And there was a servery that they were going to pass food out. This is all brand new, obviously, in this house. It was like a bit of an extension, but matching the older details. And in the drawings, it specified that the chair rail was to be no higher than 900 millimeters off the ground, 3 foot. And um, I installed the top rail and the chair rail at that height. And the client had come in and she said, she saw it and she was like, it's too low. It doesn't match up with the survey. The survey was probably another 100 millimeters higher. And she's like, bring it up to
Right.
that height so it goes through in one straight line. And the client, being the client, was like, yeah, it's okay, no worries. Robert obviously wasn't there. He only came to site once a week at the time. And he came he came in and he came around the corner and he saw my chair rail. And he hadn't saw me at this point, but I could see him. And he was just standing there with his head in his hands like this, just staring at it. And I was like, is everything okay, Robert? And he's like, what is this monstrosity? And I was like, oh, the client said to just put it in level with the survey. And he's like, no, 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 no. Chair rails don't go in at that height. Chair rails are for the backs of chairs. They don't go in at that height. He goes, it's wrong. It's just wrong. And he started calling me Spud at this stage. So he's like, it's wrong, Spud. It's just wrong. And
Why is he calling you Spud?
potato, obviously. I don't know. My father-in-law calls me it. So uh, but yeah, he was brilliant. He was brilliant.
Is he
I ended up.
referring to he's referring to the potato famine?
It must be. I
Must
never
be, yeah.
really. I never really divulged on it too much, but yeah, he
God.
forever called me Spud. I actually don't even know if he knew my proper name, but I was always Spud.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and anyway, it was just moments like that. He was brilliant, and yeah, I just really admired him, and I would ask him his favorite books and stuff like that. And yeah, that really started the journey for me. And from then on in, like looking at like Vitruvius and Palladio and that sort of stuff, and proportions, and just I'm sure you're the same when you walk into a building and it's been really well designed and everything just looks right. You feel this like sense of calm. It just looks
Yeah.
right. All the
Yeah.
details are right. And I just started really appreciating all of that stuff. And that was it. I really got into it. I really got into sort of spending all my spare time fingering through books and that sort of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I ended up following him on to his next build with another builder, and it was actually the builder that asked me to come on without his permission. The builder was like, "Seems like Robert likes you a bit, so do you want to come and do the carpentry at our next job?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely." I saw the plans, and it was a stunning residence. It was a bungalow, but they decided to stick a first floor, but it was gorgeous, arts and crafts inspired again. And I turned up on site to meet Robert for the first time, and not first time, for the first time on that job, and he didn't know I was coming, and he goes, "Oh, Spud," and I was like, "Robert, lovely to see you." And he goes, "So what are you doing here?" And the builder goes, "Oh, he's going to come and do the carpentry," and he goes, "Oh, well, I suppose you're somewhat competent." And I was like, "Okay," I was like, "It's probably the best compliment I got out of him." But yeah, he's a brilliant man. So yeah, it was that really that started the journey, I would say.
What did you say? What nationality was he?
He's Australian, so
He
it
was
was.
Australian. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, unfortunately, he's not passed away, which is incredibly sad. But
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's Australian.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. That was good. It
So,
was great.
well, and so that inspired you. So you got the bug, and
But
I'm intrigued to know the heritage buildings where you're working in the Sydney area. Um, what's the earliest would you say that they would date to from? Sorry,
the
from.
earliest one, I mean, the earliest one, I'm pretty sure it is Elizabeth Farm in Parramatta. I hope I got that right, or people from Australia are going to be yelling at their phone right now. Elizabeth Farm is around 1793, and I'm pretty sure
Is
that's
it?
the earliest building in Australia. Yeah, but um, then they sort of go from there. Government House, which we've been working on recently, is 1830.
Ah,
Um, yeah, which is a beautiful residence. We just restored the western facade on the cottage, um, and that was 1901. I would say a lot of the beautiful heritage buildings around the CBD are between 1870 and 1890. Um, I think because of the gold rush in Australia, it was around 1850, I'd say. Um,
yeah.
a lot of amazing buildings came up in the decades after that.
And what are the architectural influences? Let's say that building 1830. What does that look like? If you look at that building, what would you say? Oh, okay, I can see some of that influence and that style. What is it? Is it?
The government house, what would you call it? I mean, it looks like a castle. Um, it is definitely Gothic elements in it. What do they call it? Like an Italian Renaissance? Is that what the term
I'm
they
gonna
use for it?
have a quick look. What's it called? Government
Have
House,
Government House, yeah, in Sydney. See if I can see it as well.
Sydney. Yeah, okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's got Gothic.
Gothic, yeah.
Yeah, Gothic, Gothic revival.
Gothic. Oh.
Yeah, I see. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely. So that's probably then going to be similar type of elaborate, detailed, carved woodwork inside.
Yes, I've had a couple tours inside and it is stunning. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I
and
wish I
what's
took
the
some
wood?
photos of it
What's
actually.
the species of wood for the joinery?
Australian cedar, the
Australian
nicest.
cedar.
Yeah, the nicest. All the nicest residences that I've seen so far in buildings that I've worked on are Australian cedar. That's gorgeous, really deep red color. It has a few tones too, but the deep red is the nicer one of it.
And what's that like for carving out of interest? It's quite soft, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's really easy to carve. I actually have a video of um so the project that we are just about to complete this week with traditional restoration company. One of my carpenters, Jerison, who's incredibly talented, he had to replicate a doorway, which was completely missing for whatever reason. But there was lots of carving in that, and he had to carve all the corbels and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really easy. He said he made like light work of it. Um,
Mm.
if you have a look on my Instagram, you can see I've got a couple of videos of him doing that on there.
Oh, I will do. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. So, would you say the majority of the wood for period buildings in the 19th century in Australia would be at that sort of end, would be the cedar,
I
would be
haven't
cedar.
been in I haven't been in enough to know, but the nicer ones definitely yes.
Yeah,
Uh it really all depends. Like there's lots of different species of Kari pine as well, which is used quite a lot for floors. Redwood I've seen through areas in the rock, which is California. Um I know that they used to obviously the wool trade in Australia was roaring back in the days. And
yeah,
I think we used to trade a lot of wool for nice things, and that sometimes was timber. So
yeah,
I worked in a place in the Rocks, which is a historic area right beside Circular Quay, which is quite close to Government House actually. And the architraves were all made out of redwood, which was the first time I dealt with that. But I got a bit of the story from the owner, uh, and she told me that story about them trading
right.
wool to get redwood and stuff in. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the nicest stuff I've come across so far is yeah, been Australian cedar.
And that's when you say redwood, that's probably Scots pine, I'd say.
Is it?
Well,
Mm.
that's what a lot of people refer to redwood, red deal. And if they're importing, if they're trading, that again was a very, very popular timber for joinery, used a huge amount in the UK.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it'd be interesting if that got to Australia as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, but still discovering and learning.
yeah,
I feel like I'm surprised on most jobs I turn up to. Learning about species. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it definitely
and
varies.
and you started really getting interested in the heritage because not all you don't just do heritage, do you? You'll do a mix.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah,
I do a mix, but recently because of this job we were on the lands department, that has eaten up all of my guys. I had 10 guys employed for the last 18 months on this one project. So it's hard to really look into the past for that or since that. But and the next jobs we all have lined up are all heritage jobs as well. So it's been a while since I've done something else. And
is it?
on it, yeah, and honestly, I'm hoping it stays that way. I would love to really sink my teeth in and just stay solely in the heritage realm.
Yeah.
That's the dream, really. Yeah,
And there's no reason why that's not going to happen because you're already carving out, a reputation by the sounds of it.
yeah. Hopefully, yeah. I mean, like I've said so many times, it's early days, and yeah, I'm just hoping that more and more opportunities keep falling on our doorstep, um, because there are so many beautiful buildings for Australia that need looked after. So yeah, long may it continue.
What's what is the general opinion about the period buildings and the early buildings in Australia from the local authorities, from the general public? What's their view? Is there interest? Is there not? Are they really keen to restore the heritage? And what do you think it is like? And how does it compare to, let's say, the UK, where we are, we have lots of listed building consent and protection, and very focused, and you can't do certain things on a building without permission. And so we seem to be in the UK, compared to a lot of other countries, on it, compared to, so what's the attitude, would you say, in Australia?
They definitely look after the heritage buildings here because we're such a new country. Heritage is incredibly precious here. Um, like before these buildings, there was, I mean, arguably there was nothing really there. Obviously, the Aboriginals were here, but in terms of built heritage, there was nothing really there
Yeah.
before. So yeah, they're very well guarded. It depends on the councils. Yeah, and there's some accounts I can send you some Instagram accounts which in certain areas they're tearing down uh lovely little heritage homes, which I would say show the identity of the area. Um, but when it comes to the bigger buildings, and the significant ones, they're very well looked after and very well protected, and the locals look after them as well. If anything would go up to be torn down, there'd be an outcry for sure.
So they're looking after the main, but maybe not so much the an 1850s cottage.
They would definitely look after that. I'm talking
Oh,
about more
okay.
like your like 1930s, 1940s onwards. Anything that old
Ah,
absolutely will be looked after. Yeah.
I see. I
So
see. I
I,
see.
I, I yeah, no, there it's very well protected. If it's deemed significant, and anything of that period will be, I think anything pre 1900 will definitely be deemed significant. Um, yeah, I would say all in all, it's generally well protected.
And can you give me just an overview of what happens? So let's say, a client buys a building from 1850, 1860. It needs a lot of renovation work. What do they have to do to get that in the ball rolling?
It depends what they want to do. So I would generally say they'd have to get a heritage architect involved.
Okay.
They would have to put forward what they want to do to the building. Um, and you know, um, and it comes down to that old adage, like do as much as necessary, but as little as possible. Um, when it comes to like changing the significant, like the fabric of the building. Um,
Yep.
have you heard of the Borough Charter?
No.
The Borough Charter is like a set of guidelines that were created um, by the Australian chapter of ICOMOS back in, I think it was 1970,
Oh,
around
okay.
that time. Yeah, and it was based loosely on the Venice Charter. Is that what you use, like the guidelines, the Venice Charter, to look after
Oh,
heritage buildings?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard of the Venice Charter either. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Uh,
But
yeah, I don't
basically,
know.
basically they would have to speak with a heritage architect. They would have to say their intentions about what they want to do. Um, and then, I mean, they would never be able to change the facade on an 1840s or 1850s building unless it's deemed insignificant because there have been so many alterations over time that it's sort of unrecognizable from where it was originally.
Yeah.
Um, they would probably be able to easily restore it to its original image, like its
Right.
original facade. Um, but yeah, you there's no way you'd be able to change much. It's like for everything. So these buildings stay looking exactly the same way. And if you're doing
Ah,
something to prolong its life, without changing too much, that's that's definitely looked upon favorably. Um,
Right.
in terms of internally, um, I think you can get away with a fair bit internally. The internal structure. It's mainly the facade that matters.
That's so interesting because obviously in the UK, if you have a listed building, everything is listed within that.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter if you've got some a 1970s bit of paneling in your Georgian property. If that paneling was in there on the time of listing, then technically that 1970s is listed. So you'd have to get listed building consent to get that removed.
really.
Yeah, yeah. So we're very, very equally as stringent and fussy about the interior, you know, as well as the exterior. So it's the whole thing, and even in your curtilage of your grounds, those items are listed as well. So so that's a really interesting point actually, because um, you would really, I'm glad we're like this in the UK, because for me as a passionate person about woodwork, that woodwork is protected, and it only takes somebody like myself that could go into that listed building and say, okay, yeah, I know this 1970s paneling is listed, however, it's in really poor disrepair, it's made from cheap ply or something like that, and then there'll be a case of being able to replace it with something else in more in keeping. Um,
Yeah.
but it sounds a bit like that's not the case. So interiors could get removed. So original joinery could possibly get removed.
It depends how significant it is. It depends how
Okay.
significant it is. Yeah. So yeah, it is a bit funny, and to be honest, even my lines are a wee bit blurred with it. I would say in that big commercial building we were just in, I would deem a lot of those items in there significant. And I don't know how it came about to be, but maybe they weren't deemed significant in other people's eyes, but they're no longer there.
That's the thing, isn't it?
There's
That's the thing. You and I would look at something and say, "Oh my God, I love that. That's absolutely fantastic." Yeah, it dates from the 1930s, or it's not. It's maybe not that old compared to other buildings. However, it's just got that look, that charm. It's historic. It's significant because
Yeah,
you and I are really passionate at what we're looking at, but other people don't have the same sort of interest, and they think, "Yeah, okay, yeah, it's not that important. Right, we can take that out."
yeah, yeah. It's actually really hard for me to give a proper answer on that because I so for example, there was a piece of joinery in this building, and it got taken out, carefully removed, and it had to be carefully reinstated 18 months later. I think even 2 years it was in storage for. And it was in storage in like a climate controlled storage. That's how important this thing was for 2 years. And then we reinstalled it, putting it all back together piece by piece. I think it was like 1890s. It is absolutely gorgeous. And it like I had such a joy putting it back together. Like all like the corner panels and side panels, like you just push it in and it's you couldn't put a cigarette paper in between any of the joints. It's like slid back in. And you know the
Wow.
whooshing noise when the air rushes
Oh
out
yeah,
and there's
yeah,
no
that
room for the
vacuum.
air, the
Yeah.
vacuum, and like they would all just perfectly. And I just remember standing back, being like, "This is the most gorgeous piece of furniture like I think I've seen." And then I look back at the building only a couple of weeks ago, and they've stuck this big hideous black box on top. But actually, sorry, they've tried to they put a veneer, an Australian cedar veneer with like a black void in the middle to house some sort of air conditioning unit, but they've set it right on top, and it ruins the cornice and everything. It didn't touch the cornice, I have to say. Like they haven't touched any of it, but they've set it on top of it. And for me personally, that just takes away from the whole entire piece. And
Yeah.
that sort of stuff is allowed. And so for me, I don't know. People seem very like they spent a lot of money for 2 years to protect that, but then they've just put that thing on top for
Yeah,
functionality. It
yeah,
does.
I know. It's just inconsistent. That's the same here. There's
Is it? Okay.
inconsistencies. You
Yeah.
just don't. Yeah, that happens. That absolutely
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
now I'm
So sorry.
interested. No, no, it's fine.
Uh, yeah.
No, go
Go
on.
on.
No, okay. So I was. So I've just clocked something you just said. earlier on that you have 10 people. So I'm going back to now Trim Carpentry. And so now, how is it working now with employees, with subcontractors and projects, and what's the current state?
So we have dropped down because that big project is sort of starting to peter out a wee bit. We are down to, actually, I'm taking account. I think we're down to seven, and um, and I'm quite happy with the seven we have at the minute. And we are just sort of managing two jobs right now, and that sort of keeps all of us busy. Um,
Okay.
how it's going? Like it's going good for now, but yeah, I've only really been in it for the last 3 weeks. So if you would ask me in 6 months' time, might be a completely different answer. So
And then
uh,
and then how's it what's the setup? Do you have three on one project and three on another?
yeah,
Do you
so that's
split
exactly
you're splitting?
that's exactly it. So three on one right now, and then three on another. I've got a couple of small private jobs that I've sort of pushed back. Um, that will get done once this big one in the city finishes this week. I'll try and knock them all over consistently, and then we'll jump on to. There's another couple of big ones to do again. More work back at Government House, and then a big project to start next year.
Right. And then
Yeah,
out of those three, do you have like a team leader or a foreman?
yeah. So I do, I do. I put a couple of people in the role. Um, so I have sort of two leaders in each team right now.
Right.
That I sort of liaise with on each of the projects and that I lean on. Um, and then me personally, I still obviously like to get on the tools, so I just sort of chop and change where I can to help out where it's needed. Um, but yeah, that team leader will then have two sort of carpenters underneath them. To be honest, the team in the city are so autonomous, and the carpenters are so good there that they could be left entirely to themselves without a team leader, and they would just be able to
Okay.
function and go themselves. Because we are subcontracting for a bigger restoration company, they have um, a project manager who sort
Got
of
you.
manages the work for everyone on site on the scope.
Right.
So not as necessary.
And how are you managing your time?
Early. The
Yeah.
Terribly. I can't focus on one thing. Like I came in this morning um to do lots of quotes, and I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna do three quotes. I'm gonna do my three quotes today. I'm gonna send off a few invoices. I come in and I see my tool trolleys being used by everyone over the last week and a half, and it's a mess. So I go in and I
Yeah.
start sorting it out and tidying and cutting shelves and all this other stuff that doesn't need to
So
be done
you
at all.
do you have ADHD?
No, I've not. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I joke with my
Uh,
wife every now and then. She's like, "You." Everyone says I'm idiots too these days. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's because I'm the same. I'm the same. I'm incredibly I find it incredibly hard to focus on one job at a time, and I will get distracted, you know.
Yeah,
And I've certainly got something like ADHD or something like that. Because a lot of
yeah,
creative people do, a lot of creative people can have this, where you can hyper focus on certain things and
yeah,
excel. You hyper focus, you can excel and really, really do well, but then if you have too many distractions, you can just flip from one to another, and your time management can be quite poor. And
yeah.
so that's why I was asking, because you said your time management is not so
Oh,
good, and
it's
also if you
terrible.
get distracted,
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's why I was saying my face is so red. Like I had to go out for a run because obviously doing all that stuff today and being a million, I need to go out and clear my head every now and then. I just need to
yeah.
zero myself every now and then. There's just a lot of brain noise going on, so I need that every now and then as well. Because yeah,
So
otherwise I
so
can find myself stuck.
yeah, and so at the moment, then you've got two teams, and it. I'm just getting the gist that I can see just speaking to you over the last hour. Your passion and your enthusiasm for this, the heritage buildings world. you know, this is just going to grow. Yeah, I can see it. It's going to grow. So, but you've got this. You love being on the tools. You just love working with your hands. You love being on the tools. But as your business grows, it's it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, because
Mm,
that's why I say, where are you spending your time? Because you've got to be out there feeding your team with work. So you've got to be there with, speaking to clients and winning work. Means you're the more times you're on the tools, lovely for your mental health, but
yeah,
not so good for your business in some ways.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
No, you're
interesting to see
absolutely.
where that's going to go.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I do have a few team members. Like my team, I'm getting really comfortable with them taking the job and starting to go. So it's more about me being able to relax and settle into the role of going to look at other
Uh,
work and win jobs
yeah,
and being able to drop in and out when I need to, and not sort of. I
yeah,
don't. Last thing I want to do is micromanage. But I also want to make sure the right things are being done. But I have enough faith in my team that even if I'm not there for a while, that the right things are being done. I have a lot of faith in my guys. Like most of them are more talented than me, which is an amazing position to be in. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I do feel very, very grateful for that.
yeah. It's such a
So,
balance, isn't it? It's such a fine balance. It's yeah, it's so difficult, because you feel the pressure of thinking, okay, when's the next project? How much work have we got? Can I can I keep this team going over the next 6 months, 9 months to the
yeah,
year? And it's constantly, and then you're also thinking, okay, if we took that project on, that could be a lovely project to do. However, um, it might not be that profitable, that particular project, but it's a lovely, lovely project to do. Do we do that, or do we not? There are all these sorts of questions that
yeah.
go through your head, isn't there?
Do you find yourself asking as well? Because obviously, with your team, they have certain skill sets and certain attributes. Do you find you gravitating towards certain jobs to suit their skill sets as well? So for example, there's a job down south, which is a restoration of a big timber frame, and I know one of my carpenters in particular will absolutely love that, and I
Yeah.
really want to win that work because I have him in mind, being like, you'll have the best time doing that, and he'll be fantastic at it. Do
Yes.
you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. That would be the case. But I'm also thinking of the types of buildings that we're working in as well. So that really interests me. Is the um, let's say, for instance, if there was a particular building that I would just really love to work up, and that opportunity came up, um, and it might not be quite what we're set up to do, but I would then try and build a team around it to make sure that we could do that. To be able to have the privilege and honor of working, and the responsibility. I love the responsibility. I absolutely love the responsibility of taking charge of a project on a highly significant building, and doing really, really good work. So that's what attracts me. So it's mainly I'm working at Kensington Palace, so I'm now responsible to actually to carry out this work at the very highest standard. Um, that's that's what I that's where I've never been asked that question, actually, but I think that's where I am focused on. It's that side of it. It's more of the buildings, and then I will then, rather than the actual specific the projects, the flooring or the paneling, it's more the building for me, I think.
Yeah, yeah. That's incredibly special project to work on. Kensington Palace.
Yeah, that's the real honor, to be working there. We've worked there since 2011, I think.
Unbelievable.
So on and off, various projects, and recently I've been doing some consultancy work for them for the joinery in the Queen State Apartments, which is all Sir Christopher Wren's work. So
Wow.
that's a huge privilege.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that it is sort of similar to me. I mentioned the government house job to you. I got the email for that work. I think it was probably 5 or 6 months ago, and I was incredibly busy, and like, there's no way I could like really even fathom taking on any more work at that point because of this other job we were on. And I remember getting the email, and I was driving. The card stopped. If anyone's listening. And I saw on the letterhead came, or the email signature came through with like it being from Government House. And I just remember pulling over and calling my wife, being like, I've just got an email from Government House asking me to do work. Like, can't believe it. It was like
Yeah.
a pinch myself moment. I
Yeah,
I,
exactly.
I I almost cried. I was like, I can't. I was like, I don't care what I'm doing. I am doing this work, and it was only a really, really small thing. And the estate manager was very clear to let me know that he's trying to let some new carpenters in to look after the building. And um, I stumbled across my website and was like, "Are you interested in doing this really small bit of work and see how the relationship goes from there?" And I was like, I'm going to drop everything to work on an important building like that. So yeah, I'm the same. I think buildings are probably more important for me than that, and then probably second is how my employees will go inside those buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
what would you say? So things are going really well at this stage and with your company. And what's your, have you thought about what your, what's your vision? Where do you want to, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
I I've thought about someone asking me this question or like answering this question. I feel like the goalposts change all the time. I mean, if you would have asked me this 5 years ago, um, all I would have wanted was to run two teams of carpenters doing fit out work in nice high-end residential homes.
Yeah.
And now that's nothing like what my goal is now. I mean, ideally, I would love to have a couple of teams. Honestly, what you do, Vincent, like if I could get anything close to that, like that would be unbelievable. Even you had Brent Hull on as a guest recently.
Yes. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
the sort of work that he does. I would love to build period homes as well because obviously I have the full experience in construction. Um, I would love to build something brand new with absolutely gorgeous details and traditional methods. That would be an absolute dream. Um, yeah, so I do always have that in the back of my mind, but honestly, I'm just taking it job by job. Any opportunity I can get to work in any of these significant buildings,
Mm,
I'm going to take it with both hands and then just see where it goes from there, really. Yeah, and just sort of have little dreams in the background that I can roughly aim at.
yeah. And I think you've got to be constantly pushing yourself. If you just, it's, if you just slow down a little bit too much, and you're not pushing yourself, you've got to be a bit uncomfortable
Yeah,
where you're at. That's my experience. You've got to be taking on certain things where you're thinking, oh, this is a bit stressful. This is a little bit stressful for me. But then once you achieve it, something like that, and then you think, oh, hold on a minute. I didn't realize that I could do that. Now, what else can I do? Bring something else on. And that's what you have to be like. You constantly got to be pushing the boundaries and moving forward.
yeah,
Um, because you just don't realize your potential. We don't realize our potential. We're as it's habit. Humans generally habit just to keep safe. And well, we'll do that tomorrow. We won't do it today. We'll
yeah,
do it tomorrow. You know. But if you do take that first step and keep moving forward and just make sure things aren't too comfortable, it's incredible how comfortable certain aspects of your businesses and your projects are now, and they wouldn't have been 2 years ago.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. I do like pushing myself out of my comfort zones, but I'm also a massive self-doubter. Like I've accepted jobs before. The one down in Goulburn where I said yes to reconstructing the flesh, all the timbers were completely gone on it. I remember after winning that, and I won it on way too cheap a price as well. I didn't make any money on that job, but I remember just lying at the ceiling, like staring at the ceiling, just being like, "What have I done?" Like, I don't know if I'm good enough to do this. Like, why did I say yes to this? It's like on the top of a cathedral in the middle of Goulburn. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, just huge self-doubt crept in, but I did it, and everyone was incredibly complimentary on how it went. And I was like, wow, that was awesome. That was fantastic. I obviously can do stuff like that. And yeah, I think throwing you got to throw yourself in the deep end every now and then, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I think, that's natural to have imposter syndrome, isn't it? I still
Yeah.
get it now. I get asked to, I'm going to Sweden in a couple of weeks time to present. I'm doing sort of three presentations. And, I've been invited to go to fly to Sweden and speak at universities and things like that, an ICOMOS conference.
Wow.
And which is it's amazing to be invited to do that. And but then I'm thinking, why do they want me to go speak to them? You've always got this imposter syndrome because you're constantly learning. I don't know enough at all. I do not know enough. I need to know way more than obviously I know a bit. I have experience, but in my mind, I I don't know enough, and I need to know more. So, um, it you're always going to have that. It's just healthy, isn't it? You're always going to have
Yeah.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I am getting better now. It's taken me a long, long, long time. I am getting better because I'm thinking, hold on a minute. I've just got 35 years now of experience. That's enough on its own, isn't it? 35
Yeah.
years experience is enough on its own
Yeah.
to be able to
It's
stand
kind
up
of
and speak.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I would still be incredibly nervous, but yeah, it is nice to know that you still say you suffer from imposter syndrome every now and then. That gives me a bit of comfort.
All the time. I will all the time. I'm confident in certain things. I got walk onto projects, and I am confident in what I do, what I'm doing, what I'm saying. But if a big project comes up, and I think, uh, you're always going to doubt your ability and how you're going to manage a project, and do you have the right team, and you're always going to have that in your mind. I think that's healthy because if you
Yeah.
didn't, then you'd be making ridiculous mistakes, wouldn't you? You'd just be blustering ahead. If you had that confidence and that sort of authority as if you're the best in the world and you can't be taught anything, then you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall flat on your ass if
Yeah.
you if you like that. So I think it's nice and healthy just to to keep yourself pegged down a bit but not too far that you haven't got the confidence.
Yeah. I got a really good piece of advice just as I finished my apprenticeship. I was running a small job and um, I was sort of floundering a bit. I had to do the framework around this new gas fireplace that was going in. Anyway, the plumber was there watching me flounder around, struggle, and how to get. You had to do specific measurements and obviously things for heat, and they wanted like an inset TV. And anyway, I was struggling, and I took a lot of pride in myself, and I didn't want to let anyone know I didn't know what I was doing for the imposter syndrome reason. And he saw me
Mm.
struggling, and he was like, "Mate, don't be afraid to be stupid." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Don't be afraid to be stupid." And I was like, What do you mean?" He's like, "The instruction manual. Have you read that?" And I was like, "Yeah, there's not really any information in." He's like, "Just call the helpline." And I was like, I'm not calling the helpline. Like, I'm a qualified carpenter. I know how to do this." And anyway, I ended up calling the helpline, and the guy on the other end of the phone was the loveliest man ever who talked me through absolutely any question I had and got it sorted. And I was just completely transparent about how little I knew about this. First time installing it, first time doing the framework. And he was a gentleman, sorted me out big time. And the plumber was like, "Told you so. Just, if don't be afraid to be stupid, just ask." And I've carried that through a lot, especially going into the heritage world. It's quite an intimidating place. You need to really look after these stunning buildings, and anything I don't know, I'm not afraid to ask. All the heritage architects and
Exactly.
consultants, yeah, all the heritage architects and consultants I've come across are have been really, really gracious, and they will give me the information I need to help get me the
Yeah.
places I need to go. And yeah, having mentors here as well, whether it's like heritage builders or whatever, and yeah, just being able to ask the right people the right questions, and not being scared about coming across like you don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing.
exactly. Put your hand up. If you don't know, put your hand up. It doesn't matter how
Mm,
skilled and qualified you are. Put your hand up and say, sorry, I don't know. You asked me a
yeah,
question about the Venice Charter. I don't know that. So now I
yeah.
need to go and learn that. But I'm okay to say I don't know that. You know?
I,
So
I I only I only know that because I had no idea about the borough charter. Someone was like, "Oh, you just follow the borough charter," and I was like, "Borough charter." I was like, "What's the borough charter?" And then now I've
yeah, yeah.
really looked into that, and that's how I know now. So yeah,
Exactly. But
yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. And this was when I'd been offered my first contract at Kensington Palace. Okay, and it was I'd either been offered it or I knew that it was literally going to be imminent. And talk about imposter syndrome. I mean, my God, I'd never done anything like that before at all. um, at, at that level. I had to, get a team of people. Um, it was a hugely daunting experience for me. And I really had doubts. I just didn't know whether to say yes or no. And it wasn't a case of saying, "Oh, great, yeah, that's amazing work. I'm going to take it." It wasn't at all. I had tremendous amount of pressure on me to decide what I wanted to do. And at the time we were having some building works in our garden, and there was this really lovely chap. He was Clive, and Clive the builder, and he was doing some groundworks at the back, and he was up there shoveling away. And I walked up the garden, and I said, Clive, I think I'm possibly going to be offered this work at Kensington Palace. And I was just, I don't know what to, blah, 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 I'm not sure. And I kept on, and he just shoved his spade in the ground, and he stopped, and he came up to me. He said, "Is it gonna effing kill you?" I said, "No." He said, "Effing do it then." And then just carried on work. Carried on
Yeah,
shoveling.
you need that simple clarity sometimes, though, don't you? Oh,
And it was the
brilliant.
best bit of advice that I'd ever been given.
Yeah,
It's not going
yeah,
to kill me, so just go and do it.
yeah. It's perfect. It's exactly what you needed at that time as well.
Exactly what I needed.
Yeah, I love
So
that sort of stuff.
yeah, it's funny. Um,
Yeah, dude.
well, so we're coming towards the end, which is I've just loved to talking to you. This has been
Yeah,
great. I know it would
same,
be great
Vincent.
if we could catch up on another recording one day.
Yeah, I
That
would
would be
absolutely
really,
love
really
that.
good.
Yeah, a bit further into my career, might have a few horror stories, some
Yeah,
tribulations.
maybe we can catch up once you've done a certain project, and then we can just focus completely on that project, how it went, and the positives and the negatives, and yeah, that would be
Yeah,
a really good subject.
yeah.
But before we wrap up, where can our listeners find more about you? And yeah, your websites, your socials, and that type of thing.
So, obviously my website, trimcarpenters.com.au.
Yeah,
Try to keep that as updated as possible. Also, you can find me on Instagram, just to handle Trim Carpenters again. And then not so active on LinkedIn or anything else. So yeah, pretty much just Instagram and my website.
Peter, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure, and it's been really interesting for me to speak to you all the way in Australia. And what time is it now? Is it 9 in the evening for you?
Quarter past 8.
8:15 in the evening. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm just about to head off to the office now, so that's the biggest time difference we're going to have, I think, on a
Yeah.
podcast.
Yep. And I'm going to go have my dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get you back on another recording,
Yeah.
maybe in 6 months or 8 months time, once you get one of these projects under your belt, and you can come back and tell us all about it.
Yeah, I would love to. And yeah, thank you so much, Vincent. It's been incredibly enjoyable and an absolute pleasure.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.
Thanks, Vincent. All the best.